Good day, my name is Wayne, and this is Who the Heck Knows? What is today's date? Saturday, the 17th of January. When you get older and you retire, it kind of days blend into each other. There's no more holidays. Anyhow, so I want to talk, this is just for Americans. I want to talk about tariffs because they seem to struggle to understand tariffs. There's nothing struggling about it. Tariffs are a tax, and it's a tax paid by American people or Canadian people, which wherever, or Polish people, or wherever you live. A tariff on another product is a tax on the people buying it. That's what it is. So I'm going to give it to you the simple way. So you walk into the store, and there's two hammers. One is $25, and the other one's $6. And you're saying, I know the Chinese, the one made in China or made in wherever it is, South Korea, that one isn't as good as the other one, but I can buy 6 of these for the price of one of those. So what happens is complaints go on, and then somebody gets a hold of their, I guess, member of parliament or whatever, and they strike up, and in the States, with the States, it's Congress, it goes to them saying, look what they're dumping hammers on our property. So anyhow, there's no tariffs on them, right? So then the government, through Congress, they sit down and agree, and someone presents the case of why hammers, these particular hammers from this particular country, should have a tax on it. So they tax it, and they bring that up to the price of, or close to the price of, the American or Canadian goods, whatever country you're in. So it's to level the playing field. It's not to punish anybody, and it's not blanket, because what you're doing is punishing Americans or Canadians. So what happens is, and I'm just going to keep referring to people, so it doesn't matter where you live, but it's for Americans, this video. So anyhow, so what happens is, along comes a president, and he said, I would love to raise taxes so we can pay these rich people who are already rich and filthy rich, to give them a better tax break so they can be richer and filthy richer. That's what it's about. So what they do is they said, okay, sir, it's a bit of a problem because you try and tax the American people and they will turn on you. They will squash you like a bug. And he says, wow, I better not do that. So what is another way to tax people? Well, there's all kinds of taxes. There's local taxes, sales tax, but here's one that's going to get you. The tariff is a tax. So he liked it. Your president liked the tariffs. He loves them because what it does, it taxes you through the back door. And you're saying, well, no, it doesn't. He says we don't pay it. He's absolutely correct. You don't directly pay the tax. The person picking up the goods or arranging the goods, when they hit the border, they get a notice from the American government, you owe tariffs. One company on one shipment owed $15 million, right? So is that person going to say, oh, well, you know, I just want to make the president look good, so I'm going to absorb all the cost? No. He's going to try and be reasonable with people, but he's paid 15%. So he takes that tax, which is a tariff is a tax, slaps it on the goods, and off they go to the store. Now, in the store, the two hammers, remember the hammers? Now they're almost the same. So now you pick two hammers up and you go, I wonder what the quality's like. Yeah, this is great. Now you're making your home products, which is the United States of America, more competitive, and for people to decide based on quality, not on cheapness. I mean, you see hammers at the dollar store for, let me guess, $1? They're garbage. You get pieces of metal flying off them and stuff. So anyhow, that's what happens with tariffs. So you're thinking, well, no, he keeps telling me that we don't pay it. Yeah, you do pay it. You don't pay it directly. So he, the importer, pays the tariffs, has to up the price of his goods to make up for that, or he's going to go out of business. So he raises the price of the goods to the shelf. So you're thinking, Well, yeah, but I'm paying more for the good, not for the tax. Yeah, you are. You're paying. You're in fact, he's taking the tariff and moving it from his pocket to your pocket through the purchase in the store. So when you say, "Wow, did things ever go up last year?" Yeah, they went up. They went up, but let me guess, 15%, maybe between 11 and 15%. He's taxing you through the back door, and you're praising him. When he gets up on the podium and starts bragging about the trillions and billions and gazillions that are coming in from tariffs, they're coming from your pocket. That's where they're coming from. Not the importers. He's passed it on. Now you get it. It's not the Chinese, the German, the Italian governments. They don't go, oh, it's time to write a check to United States of America. That's not the way it works. They don't know what product needs to be tariffed. So the whole thing is bizarre. But the whole point is you're being misled by words. He knows that he can manipulate you with his words. But you can't manipulate Canadians. You can't manipulate educated people. So he picks on the educated people that understand tariffs. And then you go, yeah, he's right, because those guys are all a bunch of woke people and everything. Well, no, they're right. Ask any businessman. I'll tell you what, I'm going to challenge you right now. Go into a store, or let's go into a bank. They're financial people. You ask them, who pays the tariff? Not what party he's in. Nothing. Who pays the tariff when it comes in the country? Is it the Americans or is it the importer? And they will tell you it's the importer, because if it was in the individual, the government would get nothing, right? So the importer is paying 15%. A lot of them are more. Some of them are up to 100%. They're paying 15% more on goods, hoping you're going to pay 15% more. He's passing it on. So if you don't do that, the American government doesn't lose. They keep getting 15% from him. His stuff stockpiles, he sends it off to a liquidator and closes shop. That's the way that works. So when your president is bragging about how much money they got, no wonder we're doing so good. Look at how we're so prosperous. Look at the stock market. Yeah. Okay, you're doing good because you're giving money to the government directly. Money that cannot be used as a tax deduction. Even though some importers can, to cover their paperwork, when they do a tax deduction, they'll get a little piece of the action back for doing paperwork and the distribution. But there's no magic wand that does anything. So do you not see the difference between your costs going up and someone slapping tariffs and acting like a fool with them? Tariffs are not blanket. Why would you punish a country that hasn't done anything to you? You know what they do in return? They say, screw you, I'm doing business with someone else. And that's what they're doing. As soon as he lays these tariffs, they're sending their goods out, but their goods are gradually not being bought like they used to because they've gone up in price. Clothes or whatever it is, right? So now they're looking for another market. Look at the news. And don't get mad and say, oh, look at them. They're looking for another market because they don't want to pay us. They don't pay you. You pay Trump. You're paying him. I mentioned his name. Sorry. You pay him through the importer. The importer, that way. He's at the dock. He will not be allowed to touch his goods until he pays that 15%. So you'd say, well, that's not, he could take that loss. Okay, 15% times $10 million of refrigerators and stoves or something. That's a lot of money. The guy has just lost 15% of his money, and he's not going to say, "Oh well, I feel like a philanthropist. I think I'll just absorb the whole 15% and lose my home and go to the food bank." No, even though they're importers and they have a lot of money, it's a lot of money exchanged. They're not better off, or some of them are doing pretty good, but they're not like mega wealthy people. They're just people that are taking the risk to get your goods for you. So you have lost 15% off your take-home pay. Here's where it gets you. He's taking 15% of the pay, not the pay, but the actual product. He's adding 15% on. You get your paycheck, you're taxed by revenue, and then you get your rest is for you, and you get your deductions. Well, a tariff comes when you're buying groceries, or you're buying clothes for the kids, or anything from any country around the world now that's tariffed at 15%. You're paying 15% of your take-home check towards when you go and purchase. Now, the only thing right now that's safe, and not sort of safe, is the products like agriculture, eggs, meat, and that sort of thing. But they're going up. You know why they're going up? Because some of the machinery comes from a place that's tariffed at 100%, and they can't keep their manufacturing going without this machine. There's farmers with their potash. They can't put potash on potash costs them more than they're going to make because they're going to lose money on it with the amount of tariffs that were on that. You can ask any person. So anyhow, I said, I'll get back to it. And I said, never mind what I'm saying. I'm just a retired guy who doesn't know anything. I'm going to tell you, go into a bank. People that have, and again, go into a bank. You don't want to know who they voted for or anything they did. Who pays tariffs on the goods when they come in the country? Is it the country that sent them? And they'll tell you, no, it's border services or customs and border service that record all this stuff. So if a court case comes up where they've got to reverse them because they never took them to Congress to say, okay, I think that we need to, let's say pasta, they're flooding the market with cheap pasta and we can't sell ours in the United States, manufactured in the United States. Then Congress would say, okay, slap a tariff. And what would be reasonable to bring it up? And they get into a debate over it in the back room, and then they get into Congress. They pass a bill with this, it's not a bill, it's kind of a permission slip to tax these, because it is a tax. Ask anybody you want, it's a tax. And what he originally wanted was a VAT tax or a GST, which one is a goods and service tax and the other one is a value-added tax. But value-added tax is the same damn thing as what you're paying now, but you're thanking him. Oh my God, we're so prosperous now. No, you're not. It's coming out of your pocket. Ugh. Anyhow, so I hope that you study this stuff. Just don't listen to it's kind of like that floating head in the sci-fi movies that tell you how to live your life and follow me and we'll all be rich. Don't listen to that garbage. Use your own brain. You're gradually losing your ability to think. That's the problem. On your own. Not think, but think on your own. You're not saying, okay, I want to know about tariffs. Well, I think I'll turn on Fox News. Oh yeah, you'll get, really, it's called Fox, F-A-U-X, for the word phony. Fox News kind of flirts with the truth. And you say, okay, well, yeah, you're not paying for it. Yeah, I just explained to you. No, the importer is paying for it and tacking it onto the goods before they hit the store. You are paying for it. And they'll say, well, what we really meant was someone else is paying for it and they passed it on to you. Oh, yeah, that's not what you said. So you got to go right to the source. Go right to some business website and, questions or any. They're willing to tell you that. Ask a businessman who imports stuff. They'll tell you. You, the American taxpayer, are being taxed twice. Once when you earn your money and again when you spend it. And that tax when you spend it, you cannot deduct it. Not like anything else, like other things I don't know what all the things you deduct in America. But you can't deduct tariff money. You can't say, oh, that went up. That went up by 15%. Well, so what? They've already taxed the guy that brought it in. So, and of course your president is saying, well, these business people are going to be generous and absorb some of that stuff. Yeah, they might in the beginning, but when you see it going up, every month everything's going up, they're probably gradually raising things. They've taken a loss in the first import. Now they'll slow down on the next thing they import, and you'll have a shortage later on. But while they're doing that, they're taking it up a couple of percent at a time until it gets to get their money back. So it's really, it's inflationary. It's horrible. It's what was the beginning of the Great Depression of the 20s, where everybody was at soup kitchens and everybody lost their job and the banks were closed and there was a run on this and a run on that. So, I mean, I don't know that much about the whole inner workings, but what I do know is the people in the United States are listening to a leader who has a vested interest in making himself look good. And he's making himself look good by all this money. Ooh, he's fanning it out in his hand. Look at all the money we're making. Yeah, it's coming from you, the unfortunate shopper. So the only way to fight that, the 15% tariff, is to lower your shopping by 15%. That's the only way, whatever you get. If you used to buy something, don't buy it anymore. If you used to eat steak, eat hamburger. And that hits them back to knock some sense into them, saying, wait a minute, the spending's down. Because right now they say spending is up. Yeah, spending is up, but people are buying the same goods. Spending is up by 15%. We're all doing more. Yeah, it's up by 15% because that was your tariff. People are spending more, not buying anything more, not buying anything different, the same things, whether it's groceries. So don't blame the farmer. Don't even blame you go into the grocery store. They have a profit margin. You go in there and here's some poor sucker working in there at the cashiers or stocking shelves, and you're venting on the guy about the cost of a can of tomato soup or something, that it's gone up to $2 or $3, used to be $1. You're going after him. He's a worker bee, just like you, except he doesn't put shingles on a roof, he's putting groceries on a shelf. They're just workers. Where the problem is not the guy that manages the store. Because the goods come to him and he's like a robot. Must put them on that shelf, that shelf, that shelf, shelf number 3. That's all he does. It's the importer that has to buy the goods. It gets the tariffs slapped on him for some of them. Look at your food cans. Look at your products. They're all made somewhere else. So the president saw a guaranteed 15%. Not something that, you'll say, it's everywhere. So everything is 15. So whatever you buy, it's all gone up. And he keeps increasing it. The more someone calls him a name, another 10% for you, and another 20% for you, and 100%, and 30%. He slapped 60-something% on Canadian steel, okay, which is the biggest mover for Michigan, Canadian steel. So Canada now, because I live there, is looking for other buyers, and they have them. They're actually got a deal right now with Chinese electric cars because Trump went after them. So it's like the people that you thought you'd get 65% out of Canada for steel, they're not. Nobody's buying it, so we're selling it somewhere else. So when you really need it, for companies that have their boat goes down in the Atlantic and it's full of steel for the industry, you're going to be talking about 8-month layoff because your steel's at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. So older people call it biting off your nose to spite your face, whatever the hell that means. But that's what they're doing. And they're also misleading you. And the thing is, for somebody that's in Canada, we have a leader that wants to say something to us. Then what we do is, if they're lying to us, it's not with no confidence votes and stuff, and we can remove them. Down there, lying to your people that voted for you is a sport for most of them. They can lie to you, mislead you, and it's up to you to find out what the truth is. Not with us. We have rules on this, what you can say and how if you mislead people. So you've got to start thinking on your own, questioning, not go to Fox News or some YouTube channel. You're thinking that you should go to a channel that, let's say you want to know what's the truth about people eating cats and dogs. Well, if you go on the president's own media site, which is X, and ask, did people really eat cats and dogs? No, they didn't. It's a bunch of nonsense. And a president and a vice president of the United States spewing that garbage, this tells you how mature they are. So anyhow, that's all I have to say for now, but research your own thing on tariffs, and I'll get back to you some other time with some other subject. But anyhow, you have a wonderful day and take care.